Week 2, let's get the picks started right now. What's up, guys? So let's get into week 2 NFL picks. What essentially I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the picks. A lot of you guys wanted me to talk about the spread or the points, about all that stuff. So I added that to these picks. So essentially I'm going to tell you who's giving how many points to who. Then I will talk about the games and how they did the previous week. And then I got my question of the comment of the day is from a bunch of you guys, because it's part of my old video on Monday talking about some of the players wanting to get traded. So I got to talk about that and some other things. Before I jump into tonight's game, let's talk about last week real quick and the standings. So my dad, who again isn't here, and one of you guys said that you don't think my dad is real and you call me a bastard, and I'm going to be nice and not say anything back to you, but my dad had 10 out of 10. His record is 10-5-1. My record is 12-3-1 because the Lions and the Cardinals tied. Stop tying, people. You make my standings all wonked out with these picks videos. But there's a tie, so I should be 13-3, and my dad should be 10-6, but that didn't happen. So I'm 12-3-1, and my dad is 10-5-1. Again, if you don't believe that my dad is alive or really around, go look at the Jaguars preseason game when we live streamed together. And whoever said, call me a bastard, you're a douche. Let's jump right into tonight's game. In tonight's game, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to Carolina to face the Panthers. Is it a North Carolina or South Carolina? I honestly don't know. You tell me in the comments below. Carolina is giving 6.5 points. Now, me and my dad picked the Panthers to win. We honestly think, regardless of how many points they're giving, that we are taking the Carolina Panthers to beat Tampa Bay. We really like, I'm not going to talk about my dad. I'm not going to talk on my dad's behalf. I'll talk on my behalf. I really like the way Christian McCaffrey played last week. I really think he's going to have a huge impact this week. The 49ers beat the Bucs. The Bucs at one point were doing well because Garoppolo was doing horrible, and then the 49ers just came swooping back. Like a fart in the wind, just came swooping back and won that game. So me and my dad are taking the Carolina Panthers in that one. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals heading to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Now, that spread is, let me see if I can find it. Baltimore's giving 13.5 to the Cardinals. Now, again, the Cardinals tied with the Lions. Cardinals head coach said he had a horrible play calling for 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter woke up, and you could tell, but now the Baltimore is giving 13.5. I'm still going to stick with Baltimore in this one. I still think they'll win pretty handedly. My dad is also picking Baltimore in this one. Now, a lot of people, let's talk about Baltimore real quick. A lot of people want to say that Lamar Jackson is, after that game against the Dolphins, he said, pretty good for a running back, huh? You can't really say how good the Ravens are in comparing them to that game against the Dolphins, who had 14 guys, about 12 starters on offense and defense who were on the team 5 days before the season started. Offensive line switched around 5 days before the season started. It's not a good measuring point. Wait till the Ravens really do play, a real good competitor, someone equal to them, because Ravens always beat the crap out of the Dolphins, and then tell me how Lamar Jackson does, because last year he did very bad against the LA Chargers. Just going to throw that one out there at you. Then we got the Cowboys heading to Washington, D.C. to take on the Redskins. The Cowboys are giving 5. Me and my dad are still picking the Cowboys. The Redskins last week did well up until if you only played half a football game, the Redskins beat the Eagles, but then you had to play the second half, and the Eagles came back and beat the Redskins. So me and my dad really like the way that Prescott and Zeke and Cooper and that defense and the offensive line, how they're all meshing and doing really well together. You can also use the same thing I said about the Ravens versus the Dolphins, which they were going against the Giants, who seemed like a Swiss cheese defense. But I really do think the Cowboys are going to beat the Redskins, even though they are giving, what did I say, 5? 5. Yes, 5. Then we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Indianapolis Colts, and the Tennessee Titans are giving 3. Now, me and my dad both like Tennessee in this one still, even though they're giving 3, because The Tennessee Titans defense is doing way better than people expected. The Cleveland Browns got shellacked by them, lost by pretty over 30 points, which if you take in hindsight, right? Just wanted to talk about this real quick. Actually, I'll talk about it when we get to the Cleveland Browns, and then I'll talk about it. But, Brissett did really well last week against the Chargers. Malik Hooker had that one crazy one-handed interception on Phillip Rivers that he was like, I didn't think he'd get over to there. But me and my dad are still going to take the Titans in this one. We like the defense. We like the way the defense is flowing. So me and my dad are going to take the Titans in this one. Then we have the Steelers at home taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle barely beat the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers, on the other hand, got their asses handed to them by the Pittsburgh Steelers 33-3. And this one, Pittsburgh is giving 4. My dad is taking the Steelers in this one. I am also going to take the Steelers in this one. I think the Steelers are going to have a bounce-back game. I think they're going to play completely different at home, and I think that Seattle is going from the West Coast to the East Coast, and I think it's just going to really mess with them, especially the fact that they barely beat the Bengals. Then we got the Buffalo Bills heading to New York to face the Giants. In this one, Buffalo is giving 2. My dad is taking the Buffalo Bills in this one. Must like the way the defense was completely stopped the Jets' offense. They only had 8 points. I'm actually going to take an upset in this one, and I'm going to take the Giants in this one. The fact that Josh Allen threw 4 interceptions and there was a safety, I just think that the Giants are going to bounce back, especially at home in this one. So, they're home, but they're, getting 2, which should be the other way around. I'm going to take the Giants in this one in an upset. Then we got the Cincinnati Bengals at home versus the 49ers. In this one, Cincinnati's giving 1.5 to the 49ers. My dad is taking the 49ers in this one. I guess he really liked what he saw for the bounce back from Garoppolo against the Bucs. I'm taking the Bengals in this one. Even though they're giving a point, I think that the Bengals, they stuck with the Seahawks. They did really well. I think they bounce back, and I think they win this one. Then we got the Chargers heading to Detroit to take on the Lions. The Chargers are giving 2.5. Me and my dad are still both taking the Chargers. You tied with the Cardinals. The Cardinals head coach was calling garbage for 3 quarters, and you tied with them. So it doesn't matter if the Chargers are giving 2 points, which is stupid because the Chargers aren't home. Normally the home team gives the points. Me and my dad are still taking the Chargers. We like that one. Then we got the Minnesota Vikings heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers. The Green Bay Packers are giving 3 in this one. My dad is taking the Packers. I guess he really likes what he saw against the Bears. I'm actually going to take the Vikings in this one. I think the Vikings defense is really good. I think they shut down the Atlanta Falcons. Julio Jones, Freeman, Matt Ryan did really, really good job. And the fact that they're getting 3, I still think that even getting 3, they're going to bounce back, but not even bounce back. They're going to win the game. So I'm taking the Vikings. My dad are taking the Packers. The Jacksonville Jaguars are heading down to Houston to take on the Texans. The Texans are given 8.5 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars. My dad is taking the Texans in this one. He must have really liked what he saw against the Saints. That was a really close, crazy game. Came down to a 58-yard field goal. I'm actually going to take the Jaguars in this one. If the Jaguars are getting 8.5 points, I think the Jaguars defense is going to keep this really close. And I think that now with the backup quarterback being able to do some, they also made the trade with the Steelers for Joshua Dobbs. I honestly like the way the Jaguars defense is rolling, so I'm going to take the Jaguars in this one. Then we have the Kansas City Chiefs heading to Oakland to take on the Raiders. The Chiefs are giving 7.5 to the Raiders. The Chiefs won by 30-something last week. So the fact that they're giving 7.5 to the Raiders, me and my dad don't think that really matters. Me and my dad are both taking the Chiefs in this one. I don't think it'll be a close game. I really don't think it'll be a close game. Then we have the Denver Broncos hosting the Chicago Bears. My dad is taking the Bears. Bears are actually giving 2.5 in this one. I'm actually going to take the Broncos. Give it 2.5. I think that Trubisky's still going to struggle. I think the Broncos defense is going to keep it close, and that 2.5 is going to help. And I'm going to pick the Broncos in this one to beat the Chicago Bears. Then we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. The Philadelphia Eagles are giving 1.5. Me and my dad are still taking the Eagles in this one. We like the way the Eagles came back against the Redskins, fought against the Redskins. Falcons really struggled against the Minnesota Vikings. I also think that the Eagles have as good, if not better, defense than the Minnesota Vikings, so me and my dad are both taking the Eagles. Then finally Monday night, you got the New York Jets home against the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns are giving 2.5 to the Jets. My dad wants to take the Browns. I was sitting there and I was thinking, this is what I was thinking to myself, right? The Cleveland Browns did really bad last week. They got beat bad by the Tennessee Titans. And then their fans started burning their jerseys and stuff after one loss. And if you guys remember, during the offseason, during the draft, during the free agency and stuff, I said if the Cleveland Browns win less than 9 games, if the Cleveland Browns do not make the playoffs, even as a wild card, this offseason and the whole season is a complete failure, and they will lose their fans. They lost 1 game, and they started burning their jerseys. Can't lose 2 games in a row. So I'm actually, and then I was thinking like the New York Jets, their defense did really well. Their offense struggled. They gave up 16 unanswered points. And then Adam Gase did Adam Gase things, and he was saying, it's everyone else's fault but Adam Gase, which is funny because the Jet fans were super pumped that they signed Adam Gase, even though they were bashing Adam Gase when he was on the Dolphins, and now he's doing the same exact things. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, who's going to win this one? Who is going to win this one? The Jets, who have no offense but a good defense, or the Browns, who have a good team but just don't know how to execute? My dad, like I said, he took the Browns. They're giving 2.5, sorry. I'm actually going to take the Browns too. This is my last chance for you Browns fans. Because I remember last year, a lot of you Browns fans were like, give us a shot. Because I kept picking against you guys. Don't let me down again. Beat these Jets, Browns. Because if not, your fans are going to be real pissed. Real pissed. And then the final game I'm going to talk about, Miami's at home against New England Patriots, and the New England Patriots are giving 19.5 points to the Miami Dolphins. 19.5 points. My dad is taking the Dolphins. He's a diehard Dolphin fan. I don't think I've ever seen that man pick against the Dolphins, so he's taking the Dolphins. Again, if you want to know what my pick is, you got to see what my preview video is, either Friday or Saturday. But the fact that they're getting 19.5, I don't think they'll do as bad as they did against the Baltimore Ravens, and I will talk about that in literally 2 seconds when I get to comment of the day. But 19.5 is a lot. So Dolphins can, at some point the Patriots do, we've noticed it where if they start blowing out the Dolphins, they kind of like take the foot off the gas, and the Dolphins do tend to come back. So they could win, Patriots could win by 14 and still win the bet. So I don't know about that one, but be sure to comment below. Let me know what you think of my picks. Let me hear your picks. If you're a fan of the team I picked, let me know. If you're a fan of the team I didn't pick, let me know why I'm an idiot. But last week, there was a lot of teams that got blown out. The Bears, not the Bears, the Browns, the Atlanta Falcons, the Redskins were doing great, and then boom, they came back. Jets gave up 16 points. Miami Dolphins obviously lost by 49. But if you look at these teams and you especially the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns were supposed to have the Super Bowl team. The defense was stacked. Olivier Vernon, all these, they got Jabril Peppers, all these great guys. The offense is stacked. Like, you kidding me? Chubb, Baker Mayfield, Odell, Jarvis Landry, and Njoku. Stacked team. And they got whipped. It was like 42-13 or something like that. Whereas the Dolphins literally got rid of most of their talent, rebuilding with this young roster with some of these players that have a lot of promise but they haven't done much in the NFL. Didn't get beat by that much more than the Cleveland Browns. So it makes you really think, are the Dolphins tanking, or did they just have a really bad game because they have a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator? Which that's what I'm going to talk about right now. My comment of the day is from a bunch of you guys, because last video was about how the media said that players contacted their agents to get them the heck out of Miami, which I didn't believe. And the more I was listening to things and the more I was listening to these supposed sources, I didn't believe it anymore. Because a lot of people said that a lot of these beat writers said that the locker room emptied. No one was there to give post-press conferences. This person left and that person left. When Kilgore gave a press conference, most of the D-line did, most of the offensive line did, Xavier Howard did. A lot of people stayed. So all of a sudden, you're like, but you said everyone left. But now all of a sudden you're going to say, I have all these press conferences in the locker room from these people. But I thought you said they left. You're full of... So there's that. And then a lot of you guys were saying, well, who would want these Dolphin players? Or, all this stuff. the way I saw last week's game was it was horrendous. I sat there and I actually watched the full game, which my eyes started to bleed. But then I rewatched it again. I watched some more footage. I also Travis, follow Wingfeld on Twitter, follow him because he broke down a bunch of things. Anthony Saba on his YouTube channel, be sure to check him out, broke down a bunch of things. And a lot of what happened was mistakes. It wasn't poorly coached. It wasn't putting people in the wrong spot, and it wasn't it wasn't the coaches purposely losing. It was mistakes by the players, which can be very easily cleaned up, which can be very easily fixed. So I was thinking about it, and I'm like, for all these people that think, yes, we got beat bad. By 49 points, we got beat bad. But they think it's a tank job. You go back and watch it. The one where Minka Fitzpatrick got beat by Brown, watch it again. He just had a bad angle. It wasn't like he just got burnt. He had a bad angle. He thought someone was going to be there that wasn't. On one of the screen plays, two offensive line tripped over each other. Fitz missed a completely wide open Jakeem Grant for a touchdown. There was a ton of little mistakes that could be easily fixed. And yesterday in practice, they had full pads. So Brian Flores isn't taking nothing, lightly. So, like I said before, the fact that the Patriots are given 19.5, don't be surprised if the Dolphins keep that game a little bit closer than people think, because there was mistakes. Like I said, a lot of these players were on the team for about 5 days. A lot of the things that the Dolphins were moving around happened within the 5 days because the Dolphins didn't expect to trade Tunsil. They didn't expect that the Texans would be stupid enough to give him 2 ones. So once Tunsil was traded, the Dolphins were like, all right, well, we need to hurry up and fix this offensive line somehow. Jesse Davis didn't play too bad. So his contract extension, even though I think was a little premature, he didn't play too bad. Was the right side of that line. And don't be surprised if Calhoun all of a sudden is starting to play right guard again, because Davenport played right tackle instead of left tackle. I'm telling you. I'm not saying that we're going to win the playoffs, and I'm not going to say all these things, but I'm going to say that 59-10 loss might be an anomaly where we actually are closer in more games. That's all I'm going to say. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from you guys telling me I'm too positive and this, and that. I'm just telling you what I saw on tape, and it is possible to fix things. Will they fix things? Time will tell, but I'm just telling you from what I saw, it is possible to fix things. But again, be sure to comment below. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter. I retweet. So when Travis does a great breakdown, I retweet with something that I noticed. And I retweet a ton of things. So be sure to follow me on Twitter. Also, be sure to check out the Bit Boys. I'm going to try to put a Madden video out this weekend. So be sure to follow the Bit Boys. Check that out. I'm going to try to do the franchise mode and try to do one just, pack opening and play. So be sure to go check out the Bit Boys. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. We started playing Detroit Become Human. Great game. Also, give this video a thumbs up because of what I just said. That loss was bad. It hurt. It sucked. I expected to lose, but not that freaking bad. But again, it was mistakes that could easily be fixed, and we could be competitive, and we can surprise some teams. A lot of teams now see us and think, that's a win. That's a win. We're going to surprise some teams. So give this video a thumbs up because week 1, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new players, new scheme. It's just all new. A lot of teams got beat that weren't supposed to. Cleveland Browns got beat bad. They were supposed to go to the Super Bowl. Perspective. Take everything in perspective. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up because you like these picks videos. Lets me know. My dad will be back next week. He promised me that. You just have to be up at 2 o'clock to go to work. What are you going to do? Also, be sure to check out DolphinsTalk.com. Great site over there. Also, Sportscaster. That's another site that I'm partnering with where you live stream. So I do some videos over there where I talk about some Dolphin stuff, some NFL stuff. So you can go over there, check that out as well. If you're new to the channel, and you haven't hit that subscribe button, be sure to hit the subscribe button. You get a minimum 4 videos a week from me, especially these pick videos, preview, post-game. It's going to be great. But other than that, I'll see you guys either Friday or Saturday with my preview of the Dolphins-Patriots game. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up.